You know, it feels like every day this season, Manchester United have reportedly entered talks for a different midfielder, right? I'm pretty sure I saw some Wesley Sneijder links in there recently, but it is what it is. Last week, we talked about a couple of them, like the Tonali links, and it was reported last week also that Casemiro, who was on his way out the door, has also gave his blessing, made his recommendation for basically his replacement. We'll talk about that as well. The Baleba links aren't going anywhere time soon. Anderson's future is still up in the air. A new club have reportedly entered the race for him as well, with Forest still kind of teetering on the edge of relegation. Who knows what's going on, right? We are going to chat a little bit about to that today. We're going to look at all these midfielders, a lot of the new links today, because United really are in a hunt for a midfielder. They really should be in a hunt for two or three midfielders, but we're going to talk about some of those big options today. Have a guest joining me a little later on. He's running a little bit late, but he will be here, so we'll jump into that when he gets here. You guys are going to be pleasantly surprised. But make sure you like the video, you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Check those memberships. I will be back with you in a hot second after this intro. Wish you guys could see me while that's going, because every single time I'm literally just over here like, it slaps, it slaps. How's everybody going? It's Thursday. It doesn't feel like a Thursday to me, but it never really feels like the day it actually is to me. Maybe I should get that looked at. But we're here talking about midfielders today, guys. Speaking of midfielders, before we do get started, happy birthday, Jack and Tyler Fletcher. Both turned 19 today as well. Speaking of midfielders, too, while we're on that PPS, right? The case for Michael Carrick to be given the permanent job video is officially live today for everyone. It was early access for Legends members for 24 hours, and today it went live. So the Legends members also right now have early access to the case against Michael Carrick being given the permanent job video. That will go live tomorrow morning for everybody else as well. Again, check the memberships. I do try to hook you guys up with as much as I can to show my appreciation. But go check out that video if you haven't yet. I think it was a really good exploration of the good reasons to keep Michael Carrick, and then the next one coming out will, again, I hear all the arguments. I don't like to totally take sides. I like to present all the arguments and kind of let you guys come to your own conclusions. But we'll see how it is. Let's who's involved in the chat today, you guys. Please make sure to like. Please make sure you subscribe. RK Bricks, big up. Hope you're doing well today. How's everyone Thursday going? Big up chat, big up Legends. Danny B is in the house. Big up Danny. Hope you are doing well. I do appreciate that. Danny's always a big supporter of the channel. But yeah, let us know what you guys are getting up to today. How's your day going? Why don't we go ahead and dive in? Still just waiting on the guest for a hot second, but we'll dive in and get started on some of the news. I'm gonna put this up in a better way so we can all kind of look at each other. So let's talk about this one. This one is kind of popping up all over the place today. I've seen a lot of people talking about it. The biggest news of the day, right? Because we did get some fresh Sandro Tonali intel last night from none other than Fabrizio Romano. Yes, okay, guys. He reiterated reported interest in Tonali from a lot of clubs. Arsenal. I mean, honestly, how many midfielders do Arsenal really want or need? They're kind of reminding me of Real Madrid these days with 10s, right? Arsenal have Declan Rice that I spent a lot of money on. Mikel Moreno they spent a lot of money on. Zubamendi that they were chasing for a while. Odegaard as well. They've got a lot of midfielders at Arsenal. How many midfielders do they need? But in any case, Romano claims that it's going to take a bit more than just like 50 or 60 million, right, to get it done. He did drop, though, a bit of a bomba, and this is the big news, claiming that both Manchester United and Manchester City have actually contacted Newcastle regarding Tonali this week to basically asked to be kept informed of his situation. That's kind of one of those phrases that you only ever hear in transfer talk. You don't hear that anywhere else in life. We asked to be kept informed of his situation. When have you ever heard that? Or monitoring? When has anybody aside from Manchester United ever been monitoring anything in their entire life? Let's be honest. City are also reportedly heavily interested in Elliot Anderson. I mean, who isn't? But Romano also added that Juventus have also been longtime admirers of Sandro Tonali, but they just don't have the cash. They're probably going to have to sell players. They don't have a ton of players to sell either, Juve, so A lot of people in for Tonali, and Romano claims that both United and City have actually reached out and made contact. Let me see what you guys say. Get your thoughts in on Tonali real quick, you guys. RK Brick says, talking about midfielders, the rumors are true. We should be doing everything, and I mean everything, to get Camavinga. He's exactly what we need. Also, if not Anderson, definitely Walton. You mean Wharton? I don't know Walton. Maybe John Boy Walton to come in and play midfield. He is a ginger. We've had some gingers in the past. Baleba, not Camavinga. So we spoke about Camavinga, I want to say earlier in the week, and everybody's going to have their picks right. RK Brick. I'm not a fan of Camavinga, not because I think he's bad. We talked about this, and I put up his injury history. He's just had a lot of injury issues, knees, hamstrings, especially. I don't. You guys know now with Mount, with Shaw, with Martial, with Jones, with Varane, I'm just kind of completely done with injury-prone players. I'm already cooling on De Ligt and Licha as well with some of this stuff. And it's not the players' fault. I don't think they're bad. I think they're very good players. You guys know how much I love Licha, but you have to be available, and it's not his fault, but it's just the way the thing falls, right? So Camavinga is not a bad player. He's just too injury prone for me. But I totally hear you. Rob Taff in the house. Big up, Rob Taff. Good to see you, man. Says Tonali is the one. I do really like Tonali personally. I liked him when he was still at Brescia. He was an absolute force of nature at Brescia. That was back when he was a teenager. He was absolutely outstanding. When he went to AC Milan, I sort of figured that was it. It's hard to get the Italians out of the Italian league. It's just the way that they operate. It's just the way it is. They love Italy. It's in their blood. And then he went to Newcastle, and then we found out a little bit later why it was so easily for him to go to Newcastle. So there is that to contend with as well. I do really, really like Tonali. I think he's got everything you want in a midfielder. He's physical. He's a leader. He's good on the ball. He reads the game really, really well. He's got hustle, work rate. He gets about the pitch. I think he elevates players around him. Now, again, it's Newcastle, so he's got good players around him at Newcastle. But I think he's a really, really good player. I really like Tonali. What do you guys think? Dan would be very happy if we got Tonali. Yeah, this is one of those players where even if he's not on your number one on your list, if we got him, you'd still be like, all right, I see you, big up. Danny says we need 2 more mids with Tonali, just Tonali and 1 mid. Yeah, we are still going to struggle. Again, a lot of this is down to what are your thoughts on Kobbie? Because everyone's talking about we need a Stiller and we need a Wharton, we need a Stiller, we need an Anderson. Well, that basically means you don't see Kobbie Mainoo starting week in, week out, which is fine. He likely isn't, but are we pushing too much as a club, like on the club's end, to get Kobbie in that starting 11 because of contract talks? Is that our way to convince him, or should he be the one convincing us to do that? Because has he done enough? He's quietly having a couple of good games recently as well. He's going to get up and down. Not only does every player have ups and downs, but young players are going to have as well. But I agree. We definitely need, I'd love 3 midfielders. We definitely need minimum 2 midfielders. Carl Anka, speaking on Stratford Paddock, I think it was last week, seems to think that we're probably going to buy 2 midfielders, a big money one like Anderson level, and then like a lesser known one like, your Yankees or something like that. And then he thinks we're going to be looking at the academy to maybe get a third, see if we can promote some. Now, again, the Fletchers both just turned 19. One of them has already played pretty much almost like 45 minutes one week, some minutes here and there the other week. So let's see. Yeah, no, I totally agree, Shanta. Welcome back. Like, Camavinga's a good player. He's good on the ball. I think he's physical. He's just injured, unfortunately, and I just don't want to have to. It's going to cost a lot. He's going to be on a lot of wages, and it's just not worth the risk, in my opinion, personally. So nothing personal. I don't want to risk it anymore. We need players that are also going to be available. We've got a lot of injuries in the last several years. So, but it is so. Many things we need: João Gomez, Fernandes, rotation option, Tonali, Manny. Yeah, there's a lot. We're going to talk about all these midfielders today, all the ones that we've been linked to recently. So, Tonali, though, what do you think Tonali would cost? I've seen like 100 million thrown out there. Again, Romano's like, it's definitely not going to be like 50, 60 million. It's going to be upwards of like 100 million, which is going to be what, like 80, 85 million pounds, because he uses euros, obviously, which makes sense, but that would be your big money. Like, if we're going big on a midfielder and we just need to get it done, you're going to spend probably like between 70 and 80 on Anderson. You're going to spend that similar amount on Tonali as well. If we go for another player we're going to talk about soon, you're probably looking at the same price, which is probably a little too expensive in my opinion for that player, but it is what it is. But that's kind of what you have to do. Now, if we've got good people who are negotiating those deals, we shouldn't be getting our pants pulled down anymore like we used to. But again, that's when it comes up to them. And there better be a list. There better be 70, several items or several players on that list. So we're ready to go. We're not chasing a player all summer like we did Anthony or like we did Harry Maguire, only to just go ahead and pay what they were asking anyway or over the odds. So, but Tonali, I really like Tonali. I put a poll in the chat as we go along. You guys can kind of vote on who you think should be the #1 priority so far. Right now, Tonali has taken half the vote. So keep voting as we go along. And we're going to keep cruising a little bit here as I still wait for my guest. So don't worry. Hopefully he'll be here. Let's see. Let me check my messages again just to make sure. He's running a little bit late today. So we'll see if he's on his way here. Haven't gotten any new messages yet. So moving on from Tonali, but keep getting your Tonali thoughts in as we go down. So not a big problem. What is Danny saying here? What we got in here, y'all? Danny says West Ham go down. I heard somewhere Fernandes has a release clause. Yeah, he does have, I think, a relegation clause is what I've heard. But then I've also heard that that's not the case. Although I'm pretty sure the source that said that he doesn't have it is a Newcastle website. And so take that with a big grain of salt personally. But obviously we'll find out when the summer hits if he does or not. A lot of players do. Remember when Xherdan Shaqiri went down with Stoke, he had a relegation clause. Things like that happen all the time. So, but sticking with Newcastle, let's talk about another midfielder that we've been linked to recently from an interesting source, a very reliable source, not a source you'd really associate with football news though. Bruno Guimaraes. So this comes from Fernando Callas, who works for Reuters, which is really like a news, finance kind of a thing. But he says that United are in advanced talks to sign Newcastle United captain Bruno Guimaraes for about 80 million euros, which is what is that, like 72 million pounds or something. But renewed interest from Real Madrid threatens to complicate the proposed move. Now, Fernando Callas is a Madrid-based journalist, so he might have sources at Madrid that have maybe let him know some stuff. But Reuters is very reliable. If you write for Reuters, odds are you're going to be very reliable as well. Now, this guy also is the guy who kind of broke the news when Guimaraes moved from Olympique Lyon to Newcastle, if you guys remember when he did that. I really like Bruno. I liked him when he was at Lyon as well. But I'm hesitant on this one. I'm skeptical simply because of Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He was very publicly critical of the Casemiro deal, if you guys remember. You know, a lot of money, long contract, an older player, big wages. Like, for all those reasons, I don't know if I see this one happening. 72 million pounds. It's basically, it's granted, from a player profile standpoint, Bruno Guimaraes is about as close to a Casemiro as replacement as you're going to get. But it's also literally, from a negative standpoint, the exact same transfer. Like Brazilian, check. Defensive midfielder, check. Late 20s, check. Guimaraes is 28 years old. High fee, check. High wages, check. Like, he's going to be expensive. It's nuts, man. Now, and again, we've had reports recently that Casemiro has personally recommended Guimaraes to United. Honestly, if we're being honest, like, does that really mean a whole lot to the club? I don't know. We'll see. Again, it's another case of I don't understand how Madrid could be in for another midfielder. Personally, they've got a lot of midfielders. Maybe they're going to try to sell a couple. I just don't know. They got Bellingham in there, Valverde. They've got Tchouaméni. They've still got Casemiro as well. Like, how many more midfielders does Madrid need? Florentino Perez, man. Do they know that their defenders are like dropping like flies, or they're all over 30? Like, they need defense. But it is what it is. Not my club, not my problem. Interestingly enough, Ben Jacobs, who I know, take it with a grain of salt, is Ben Jacobs, but he seems to think, and it kind of makes sense when you look at it from just a common sense standpoint, that both Tonali and Guimaraes want to leave Newcastle, and their reps kind of are under the understanding it's kind of like a race to see who can leave, because if one leaves, Newcastle are under much less pressure to sell another one, almost to the point where they might not even really have to sell the other one. Honestly, Guimaraes could be harder. He is the captain. Tonali, I don't know. It's up to you guys. If you had to choose, who would you pick between the two, Guimaraes or Tonali? How many players do we think Newcastle are going to end up losing this summer because they're struggling a bit? Let me know what you guys think, Guimaraes or Tonali. I'm going to jump back in the chat, see what's going on here. RK Brick says Tonali, 70.85. That's a big jump. That's a 20 million gap there. That's almost another. If you add all that up, that's like an extra 100 million gap there, man. You guys are funny. Danny says class, but Tonali is more what we need. And like you said, it's not. Yeah, I don't think that Guimaraes is basically exact same transfer as Casemiro was. Almost like literally exact same transfer. I just don't see that happening. It's not very long term, unfortunately, either. So that's a lot. You're never going to see that money again, basically, unless the Saudi League decides to come in form in like 3 years or something. You'll never see that money again, period. And I just don't see that one happening. I like Bruno Guimaraes. I'd probably still lean more towards Tonali, personally, but RK says Bruno is a quality player. There's no way we're getting two players. Yeah, I don't think we're getting both. I think it'd be one or the other, and I think whoever does get the one first, I don't think the other leaves without a fight from Newcastle for sure. I mean, they haggled for months over Dan Ashworth over the difference of a few million. I can't imagine they're going to do this, man. It's nuts. Yeah, and like we said, thank you. Big up, Compose. Welcome back. Yeah, he is 28. Again, it's basically a Casemiro repeat. Let's see. Yeah, and that's the question I put out there. So let's see. Most of you guys are picking Tonali. Composed View says Tonali. Rob Taft says Tonali. Younger and more years ahead, Tonali. And then you also want to consider, too, when it comes to these kind of younger players or players in the prime, is this the place where they see that like their destination, or do they see this as a stepping stone? Because are you going to be in a situation in 2 years with Tonali where Juve maybe gets some money and he's always had his heart on Juve or Barcelona or Real Madrid or Bayern or something like that? Like, are we a stepping stone or are we a destination? Are we the dream for some players? That's something to keep in mind as well, because we don't want to have to be in this situation where players are forcing moves, where they're refusing to train, where we're going to be losing money. We've got to stop losing money on transfers, which means we have to start being smarter when we do recruit. Wages, fees, targets. Instead of paying like 100 million for Caicedo from Brighton, should have got him before he got to Brighton. Like those kind of players. Find out who Brighton and these other clubs are targeting before they go to these clubs. That's where Urenki comes in mind. And so RK Brick says, Tonali, yeah. Debasi's in the house. He's actually going to go with Guimaraes. Interesting. So you want that here and now kind of thing. What do you guys think the difference is between the two? If you had to look at the profiles, like for me, I want to know how you guys kind of see players here. What's the difference? They're both like midfielders, right? They're very different midfielders, though. Where do you kind of see? So, like, if we sign Tonali, if we sign Guimaraes, well, maybe a better question is this: depending on which one you signed, who would you sign as well to partner with them? Who would you play next to them? That will probably tell me where you think you see these players. Do you see them more as a creator, and maybe you need someone more defensive next to them, or do you see them as the physical defensive ones, and you'd sign the creator to go next to them? I want to know what you guys think there. Let's see. Danny says João Gomes is underrated. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, don't worry, we're getting there. We're getting there. Don't worry. Tobias says Tonali, they would ask 100 million, but maybe negotiable would deal with Guimaraes. Yeah, Guimaraes is the older one. You never know. Again, I don't really care about Newcastle's financial troubles. They're like the richest club in the world. They're fine. But again, when you sell one big player, you're not in any position to take low fees for another big player, so they can do whatever they want. So our predict says Bruno is more of a ball progressor, much more creative force, where Tonali is definitely more enforcer type, the more box-to-box ball-winning midfielder. Yeah, no, I agree. I think Tonali would be more of an Anderson type myself. He definitely has, like, at Brescia, he was a certain type of player. Brescia, he reminded me a lot of, like, Declan Rice when Declan Rice was at West Ham. Definitely more of, like, just generally he's going to sweep up, he's going to help, he's going to basically just get involved and just clear out his whole half of the pitch. Yeah, Tonali at Brescia was a force of nature even when he was a teenager, and he was an absolute baller. I think Newcastle, they could probably lose a couple players this summer, and it's hard because they really do need some better players. We saw reports that Woltemata might want to leave. They just bought him. Visa, I don't think Visa was a good signing. I really don't think Elanga was a good signing, if we're being honest. He doesn't really offer much, in my opinion. Gordon, people are so hot and cold on Gordon. They've got a lot of young players that they can probably develop. Newcastle might have to accept that they're probably going to be mid-table for a couple of years, because they went a little too hard too soon with some of these big money signings. And they peaked. They got themselves a Carabao Cup. They've been in the Champions League for a little bit, got themselves a little bit more money. But let's face it, they're not. This isn't the late 90s. This isn't the early 2000s. This isn't the first goal movie, right? Like, let's be honest. If you don't know what that movie is, then what are you doing with your life as a football fan? That's cinema gold. But go watch Goal, man. It's a great movie. Goal 2 is pretty cool too, but Goal 1 is a good time. Rob says, won't Newcastle be able to spend more with PSR gone in the summer? It depends on your revenue. That's what it depends on. And like we've seen with City and Chelsea recently, you've got to be able to prove that their revenue has been acquired, like, legitimately. Chelsea are now asterisk FC. City are on notice right now for potential asterisk F. Chelsea are definitely asterisk FC. They've been found guilty of stuff, so they are asterisk. As far as I'm concerned, they have no trophies under the Roman Abramovich ownership. Compose says Tonali plays a deep line playmaker before his new Newcastle, where he's molded into a bot. Yeah, he kind of had to a little bit, because just the way the Premier League is, the way Eddie Howe plays, you're not just going to be able to sweep up and kind of just distribute. You've got to be able to do a bit of everything. So, no, I hear you, man. The Bossy still wants to live. Big up. Raj in the house. Big up. Says Tonali is the best replacement for Casemiro to a long term. Compared to that, Guimaraes is more of a box-to-box midfielder. Anderson is not proven under pressure. I mean, yeah, that's a good factor, I think, that maybe most people underestimate, is how did any of these guys deal with the pressure of United? Because it is a different animal. We've seen many players and many managers kind of struggle with that pressure as well. It's all well and good to be one of the best midfielders in the league right now. I think Anderson is. He's my top priority right now. But can he do it with wearing a United shirt? That badge, that is very, very heavy. It's like wearing a suit of knight's armor. It's like extra 50 pounds that you've got to carry around. And that can break you. That can wear you down as a player. We've seen it many, many times. So, but big up. Welcome to the channel. It was a really good point to throw out there. Welcome. Coming in like strong too, this guy, Raj. Big up, man. RK Bricks going old school, talking about Gattuso and Andre Pirlo. Yeah, he reminded me a lot of Pirlo when he was playing when Tonali was at Brescia. That's who he reminded me of. Obviously, he's Italian, long hair. It makes sense, but he did remind me a lot of Pirlo. Let's see. RK says, I'm still going to stick with my pick from the beginning. I think the best midfielder outside the Premier League for United, Lucien Iguime. Speak of my language, RK Bricks. If you've been following the channel for a while, I did a scout report on Lucien Iguime back in like June or something. I don't remember now off the top of my head. I do a lot of scouting reports. I've scouted a lot of midfielders that we are now linked with. Lucien Iguime, Lamine Camara, Mamadou Sangare. A lot of these guys I was scouting way back when they were like way before they were even at their clubs now. So totally hear you though. But so far, Tonali's still winning the vote. We've got more midfielders to talk about, guys, because these reports and these links just are not going away. So let me check my message, you guys. Make sure, while I'm thinking about it, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, please, while we're waiting. We're still cruising. We're going to wait for our guests. Haven't got any more messages, so we're getting there, though. Don't worry. Let's talk about Debassi's pick for a second, because, like I said, the Carlos Baleba chatter is just not going away, despite his dip in form. You know, obviously we had that reportedly failed move to United that just never ended up materializing in the summer. United and Baleba, I mean, reportedly they'd agreed to personal terms. All that stuff was good, but the price between, you know, finding a price that both Brighton and United agreed on, that proved to be the sticking point. And yes, like I said, the deal never got over the line. Now, according to Ben Jacobs, again, Ben Jacobs, take it with a grain of salt, but it is what it is. Agreeing on a fee with Brighton is the only step left. Everything else is fine. The last thing is just how Brighton now. That fee's probably gone down, right? Because his form is just not there anymore. And it seems it's logical, right? Again, he was throughout the first half of the season, especially, he was constantly the first player subbed off at halftime many times. That's probably going to see a correlative drop-off in price tag. Now, again, whether that's him, that's just his level, and last year he was just way above his levels. if he's forcing a move, if his head's been turned by the pressure of the rumors, going back to what Raj said, if that pressure is going to get to you, is that a worry? It's a concern for me if that's what's going on. Who knows? I think also it's interesting if you did watch Brighton early in the season. There were points, there were matches where the players just weren't passing to Carlos Baleba when he was clearly an option, pretty a good option too. Makes me think there's something going on there that he wanted to leave, he wasn't happy, and they're not happy with him about it. Does that's the feeling I get there. It's telling. Regardless, Brighton are very, very notoriously stingy when it comes to negotiating. He won't be cheap. He's not going to be like 25, 30. He'll probably still cost you like 50, 60 million. Likely cheaper than someone like Bruno Guimaraes, likely cheaper than Tonali, cheaper than Anderson. Probably going to cost you more than someone like João Gomez. Definitely probably going to cost you more than someone like Lucien Agume or anything like that. Probably looking at right around the same price as you can expect to pay for like maybe Adam Wharton or something, if that's something someone was looking at, I imagine. Now the issue to me, for me too, the potential issue is we were linked, and all these talks took place under a different manager, under a different system, 3-4-2-1, right? Would he still fit in a 4-2-3-1 or like a 4-3-3 if we got, I don't know, let's like Ancelotti, for instance? Is he a versatile enough player? Do you think that he can suit those systems, kind of a thing? Hit me with your thoughts on Baleba. Let me get caught up on the chat here. Um, let's see. Archibrig says, Sean, are you talking about Lucien Agume still? First thing I've watched him the last year 5 times. My wife's family is from Seville. 100% exactly what we need, honestly. Yeah, he's not going to be expensive, Lucien Agume. I like Lucien Agume a lot. There are a lot of good players. Like I said, Mamadou Sangare at Lens is having an absolute great season right now. Lamine Kamara at Monaco having a good season as well. A lot of players that I've scouted, a lot of players that are really, really good. Arthur Evom at FC Lorient, I recently scouted another similar profile player. Very good players out there right now. Yeah, he's a good. I like him a lot. So, um, uh-oh, uh-oh. My guest has arrived. You guys are in for a treat. Let me go ahead and throw him up on the screen here. Oh, Rich, how are we doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. I've not used this software before, so it's an interesting one. How you doing, Sean?
I'm living the dream, man. It's just busy day today. Have clients. Obviously, I'm wearing my COVID uniform. Business on the top, sweatpants on the bottom. This is how we roll now in a post-COVID world. But we're gonna take a break from the transfer talk for a second because I do want to make sure that we give you the time. I'm gonna move this over real quick. The time, because I mean, it's good to have you on. Obviously, it's been a minute since you and I have sat down and chatted, but you've obviously had a lot going on these last couple days. So I'm glad we're able to get you on. Obviously, people who will follow your channel probably haven't seen you in a hot second. Why don't you, without kind of maybe putting anyone on blast or anything, like making like, because I know it's frustrating, right? But
Yeah. I know what you mean.
tell us what's going on and what the status of all this is, and maybe what we can do, how we can help. So hit us with the whole story here.
Yeah, I don't know who's in the comments, so I might try and open the stream, but I'll just quickly say what from my point of view that I think people that do know, I've messaged a few people that I do know, and what happened was I think on very early Tuesday morning or like late Monday night for UK people, I just found out I was checking YouTube Studio, my account is just gone. So my channel removed. I can appeal, which I did appeal, but I'm just running into like AI responses. Like everything is like a standard. Please refer to terms and conditions. There's literally no info. There's no humans involved, as far as I can tell, and there's no real specific reason. So I don't know that because I think I've been sometimes described as middle of the road, and and I was saying like I don't think there's anything remotely offensive about anything I say. I just can't really I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what the reason is. There is no explanation, and I'm just going through the route of just trying to like, I suppose post on YouTube community, YouTube help, Twitter, and just say like, what the hell's going on? Like, just kind of like a human being, look at what the situation is because everything feels automated and out of like a person's like control. So it's a bit of a frustrating situation because Obviously, the YouTube channel's been going for quite a few years. A lot of people that I think watch your channel, watch my channel, watch say Tactical Devils, and it's kind of a small community. So I've reached out to a
Yeah.
few people over the last couple of days and just like to kind of like just think what is going on, and it's just I don't know because in terms of what can people do, honestly, I don't know because I don't know what you can do apart from. It feels a bit like there's not anyone actually making a decision, and it's kind of like an algorithm that decides it. So I don't know, Sean. I'm kind of actually trying to think about. I don't know what the situation is because I do have a few other YouTube channels that are just kind of like small ones, like a personal family one. I've got one set up ready to kind of upload music stuff. I don't know what the rules are. Like if I upload something on a different channel, is that going to instantly get taken down? So I don't. So at the moment, I'm kind of a bit in limbo, and I
Yeah.
don't really know what to do.
Is that, yeah, I wonder if it's like a certain video or certain content, or if it's the person that they kind of limit. That's so you haven't had a chance to really interact with a person yet, and like, is that
It's one of
correct?
these. Do you know what's really frustrating? It'd be so good if it was like any other company in the world that you could phone somebody and just go like, "What the hell's going on?" But because it's like, it feels a little bit like there's been some whatever's happened. I don't even know what's happened. That's the thing. And I did look at my channel, so obviously I can't look at anything now because it's completely gone. But there's literally nothing there that isn't the
Yeah.
same sort of format, the same sort of style. That's been the same thing for about 2 years at least, 2 or 3 years, and I've never had any warning ever at all. That's the thing that's weird. And actually, there's but I've done things on other channels which actually has the same content, and there's no problem with that. So it's really weird. Like it's just really bizarre.
So
And
I
so
found
say for
out.
Rob, Rob, my backup channel, Football Fanatic, was kind of running simultaneously recently because I was thinking that it'd be great to have a non-Man United football content. So I just had this running in the background where you can dual stream just to kind of
Okay.
like just build it up a little bit with the idea that in the summer, if there's like stories regarding City, Arsenal, Liverpool, other teams, I could just keep my channel purely Man United. That was kind of the long-term plan. So this is just bizarre because if anything, it's exactly the same content. The only thing that's just on Red Devil United is a match reaction where unless Dallow's agents got involved because we said he's a bit mediocre, that's about the most controversial thing we've said.
Well, if that's what did it, then I'm definitely waiting for my email, because I've
Yeah,
said way worse about Dallo.
it's so weird, isn't it? Because there's like a million YouTube channels on football, and
Yeah.
there's so much controversy and so much anger on a lot of channels, and we're kind of like so middle of the road. It's so bizarre.
Yeah,
I don't
I've
know what to
I've said
think.
I'm pretty boring. I feel like my channel. I don't go over the top with reactions. I
Hmm.
don't like. I'm the James Milner of football channels. I feel like most of the time. But so so I was watching. I was on Jarvis's channel recently, and how I found out about this. I think it was
Yeah,
after
we
the
were on
fact, because
together, weren't we? And it
it was
happened
after
at
that, I think.
yeah, because that was weird.
Um,
Because to be honest, I would say yourself, me, Jarvis, Stu, but so similar in terms of like how we discuss football. I think in terms of that way, and like you said, like
yeah,
calm, sensible. Like I don't think myself or you has ever started videos with like rant, angry emoji, like and like let's take some angry photographs for the thumbnail. This isn't kind of the style, so
yeah.
it's
I
weird.
mean, even during my watch-alongs, I'm not like super animated. But I did look it up when Jarvis mentioned it, and it does look like, so YouTube. It looks like they have the AI that kind of has basically gone through all the channels, but the AI is kind of went a little over the top, and I guess they terminated like 12 million YouTube channels, just recently, just like literally are in the same time. So it definitely, to me, feels like it's a thing on YouTube's end. I've also seen people that are like, there was a random point in a stream from 12 years ago on my channel where somebody jokingly referenced like marijuana or something, and YouTube, because of that, that's like they take it off or something. Like, it seems a little not quite calibrated the way that AI is working on things. So I can't, again, like you're saying, I can't imagine anything like, because I've watched your channel, I've been on your channel. I can't imagine if it's something I said while I was on there. I'm sorry, but there's not any update, any status or anything as of yet. You're still waiting to hear back.
I think as far as I've got automated responses, and then what was kind of weird is that I got automated responses saying, "Oh, well, your appeal's being rejected," but it was kind of like, okay, that was very soon. So that was kind of like a few hours, and I've done like a few community posts, and there hasn't been any specific reason. Like they did reply to one message saying, "We're sorry, we're unable to give a specific reason. Please refer to our terms and conditions." And I was like, this is a human person writing this. Every email seems to be exactly the same. And so I was just thinking, this is so ridiculous. But I don't know what to think. That if it's AI, it's just so bizarre because a lot of Football Fanatic is like almost exactly the same kind of like stream. The last thing I did was actually dual stream to both, and it doesn't make any sense at all.
I don't know if
What
it's
to
I
do
don't
at
know
the
if it's.
moment? It's
Oh, there it goes.
really
That's better. That's better. Your audio was cutting out for a second.
yeah, it's kind of vague. So I don't really know what to
Interesting.
say.
Well, and then, like you said, you and I and like Jarvis and some of these other channels, a lot of the same tight knit community, and I think, and that's really what I was hoping for with maybe in bringing you on is so a lot of the people who watch all the channels together, they're supporters and subscribers to all the channels who may not have had really a chance to hear what happened or anything, obviously because you can't put out any content at the moment. A way to maybe get some of those same people a little bit more aware. And again, if there is anything that we can do, is that if there's any petitions, any GoFundMe's we can do, anything like that that we can do, any emails or anything that we can send or anything that can vouch. I mean, that would be great. I would love to figure out a way to do that. There's nothing that we could do, you said?
Yeah, so with this, it's like it's difficult to actually communicate with YouTube apart
Yeah.
from the various things they've got, which seem to be very much AI responded. So I don't know if anyone's watching or watches that has an idea of something they can do, then that would be obviously great. I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking what I can do. So I don't know at the moment.
The only
It's really
time,
ridiculous, isn't it? Because
yeah,
I'm actually thinking, could I stream to the other one and see how that goes? But I don't know. At the moment, like in YouTube, I don't want it to like suddenly just hammer things. One thing I thought was weird was there was like I think it's like there's Football Fanatic, but there was like another one that was created alongside it that had no subscribers or anything. And I just tried to delete it yesterday. And when I was deleting it, it said, "Are you sure you want to delete a channel where there's a channel under review or something?" Which implied that it was kind of like going through a process rather than
mm,
actually being finalized. So it's a bit crazy.
YouTube YouTube is a little strange. I can't. So without going into too much detail, I do know that there are people whose jobs are literally to decide what stays on and what doesn't as far as YouTube goes. There's people whose jobs are basically to censor stuff. A lot of that has to do with sensitive material, but and I know none of your content is like that, but there are people who do decide those things. The only interactions I've had with YouTube with a person or when I've done like a live chat support, I've been able to talk to someone when I've done that. So I don't know if you've tried that or not. I think I did that to ask about certain questions or certain things. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't like an issue, but I was able to talk to a live person when I did that. So I don't know if you've tried that at all yet, but that's the only time I've ever actually had to interact with YouTube,
Yeah,
and
I
that's the
might
way I
have a look
roll.
into that, see if I can do that. There's been a lot of email route at the moment, but
Yeah,
I'll see. I think with the Twitter route, which seems to be semi-automated as well, they replied a
yeah,
couple of times saying they're looking into it, but I've not heard back from them
no,
yet. It's just annoying, isn't it? It's kind of I think the thing that's so frustrating is there's not really any transparency of information or reply. So if they said, we'll find out by this sort of time, or where we're looking into it, this is the and gave me an indication of something happening, but there's nothing.
mm,
So it's just it feels like there's like you're just looking at a brick wall going, what's going on? No one knows what's going on inside.
yeah, and I'm sure that, I mean, you said vague. I'm sure the terms and conditions are also pretty vague as well. It is. I can imagine it's stressful. It's frustrating. Obviously, you want to be talking to people. You want to be interacting with your community. You want to put out the content, right? It's what you're doing. Obviously, you do it because you like it. The channel's doing very, very well as well. I think, what are you, near like 11K subs at the moment too? So obviously there's something there, and I don't think that, I mean, I haven't seen anything that's been wrong. So I hope and I'd like to be optimistic that it'll all get cleared up. Especially, it seems like it's more of a guilty until proven innocent kind of a situation with some of this AI stuff that's been going on YouTube. But but hopefully, with everybody kind of hearing a little bit more right now, or at least anyone who's watching, they maybe if there's something they could do. But it does sound like there's a lot of people who got hit by this kind of this whole wave of terminations. It's a bummer, man, that you got caught up in that too.
Yeah,
I'm
there
really
was like
sorry that
someone.
happened.
There's a couple of people I know that probably aren't in the Man United YouTube community that know a couple of people it's happened to in the past. But it's like again, I think they had the same sort of issue where they couldn't really find that information. So I don't know. I'm trying a few things, but I'm kind of I don't know what's the word. Not resigned to it, but I just get the feeling it's going to be something out of my control for a little while. I don't know. I'm looking at backup plans of what I could do
Mm,
at the moment. I'm half tempted to just stream on my other channel and see what happens. But at the moment, what I wanted to do, I wanted to download a few things on a personal channel that were like
yeah,
kind of like things I put there because I had this something I did about 4 or 5 years ago. I just created a YouTube channel just to put a few personal videos there because I thought, okay, it's quite a good way of storing things. But this has
yeah,
made me think, shit, I need to back up everything. So I would
yeah,
say for not, for other people as well. I spoke to Jarvis about this yesterday, and he was like actually thinking about a contingency plan for tactical devils about having a backup of things. And I don't know, I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's making me a bit skeptical about what I thought was a pretty secure, safe place to operate is now. I'm just thinking like, just say for example, in a couple, I don't know, in a month or a week or longer, I got my channel back or I got a new channel. I'm just thinking, could this happen again? Because it's like
yeah.
a lot of work to build it up. It is a lot of effort, and it's quite frustrating that it's kind of one night you wake up and go, where's like 4 years, 5 years of like hard work gone? And it's
Yeah, I think yeah, it is. I know Jarvis had mentioned something about contingency plans making backup channels. I don't quite understand that personally. I'm pretty much like a couple deviations left of the middle when it comes to my understanding of how YouTube and everything works. I'm bare minimum with that kind of stuff, so it is what it is. It's yeah, it's very very frustrating, man. I'm sorry that that's happened. Hopefully everything will get worked out as well. But it is becoming harder and harder. Like the whole hype thing when they've switched from just like likes and views to like the hype that people now have to go and look for on their phones and stuff, and that's kind of the new thing and stuff. That to me, it's almost like it's harder and harder to do YouTube. I even like with mine, like I've got the intro now. I've had that for a couple months because I didn't I because I have a license to use the music and stuff in there, but because I didn't go through YouTube to use the music, I have to then every time I upload a video, I have to then submit all the license information because it gets flagged because the music is not from YouTube. Like it's just and it's every single time. So every single video since I've started using it, I have to go through this process the very next day every single time. It's super frustrating, man. I'm like, if you already approved it once, just know that it is what it is. It doesn't make sense to
they
me.
make it difficult, don't they? I think
Yeah,
the only positive is if I did start again, I've got a very good network and some good contacts and lots of good people I know. So it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be the same as starting from scratch. But it's just so frustrating because
yeah,
I don't know. It's the thing that's most frustrating is I just had like future plans. You kind of got this thing in your mind about what you're going to do in the summer, or like think, okay, I can,
yeah.
just keep things ticking along, and it's so annoying.
No, I hear you, man. I mean, I'm hoping, and I mean, we're all hoping and praying, and we're all, you're just sending you good vibes that things will just, like you said, it is, at the moment, it does feel like obviously a lot of it is out of your hands, but I think that everything that was in your hands before this, all the content and everything, all that, I think I mean, I'm sure it's all been done totally legit, told me about the rules. So all the stuff that was in your hands, I think is why I'm optimistic that it will be fine because I don't see anything that could have caused problems. But again, we'll see. I mean, hopefully it gets resolved soon. I mean, we all love to see your content getting put back up. We all want to jump back in and talk transfer news and match reactions and everything with you. So, hopefully they all get sorted out as soon as possible. Do you want to chat some transfer news and midfielders while you're here?
You could go for stories. I haven't really been paying too much attention the last couple of days, but I'm imagining there's not going to be too many shocks.
I mean, we've been talking about today. We've been talking about the big midfielders that we've been linked. We've got some fresh. We had some fresh Tonali links, some fresh Bruno Guimaraes links that popped up today. We were just kind of wrapping up, talking a little bit about Baleba in a second, and I've got the poll going in the live chat about the four. So far, Tonali is winning with the 58% of the votes, 66 votes. So you guys keep getting those votes in. But we're talking a little bit about Tonali at the moment. So Tonali, Guimaraes, Baleba, do you have a preference on which one of those? Do you have any concerns over any of these guys?
Yeah, I think we're like Bruno. The only concern is maybe injury issues, but a lot of Newcastle fans that I've spoken to, that they would be absolutely devastated if Bruno left them. He's like their main guy. He's the
Mm,
one that they think drives the team forward, is the leader of their team. I think
yeah,
Tonali's very good. Like Tonali's a very good player. I think they see Bruno Guimaraes as like a level above, and I think it's mainly consistency. Whereas Tonali is very good. Like we know he's very good, but he doesn't have the consistency Bruno Guimaraes has. I think that's the difference between those two. I think Baleba is one of these players that so scrutinized because we're linked to him for crazy money that it's not like he's bad. How old is he now? Is he like 21?
yeah. He's not very. He's 21 and 22.
It's crazy. It feels like Beliebers like peaked and like dropped off in like people's minds already. And he's at the age now where some players barely kick a ball in the Premier League, like at 20, 21, 22. And I think there's definitely something there. There's definitely a good player. I think Belieber might be one of these players that suits playing with certain other players. Like he's got the engine. He's obviously very physical. I think he's a great player, and I think a lot of people are probably maybe just thinking Man United don't do enough deals, and they're just picking one. I think in reality, Man United need a few midfield players,
Oh yeah,
but the price points for all these. Do you know what? I was thinking my ideal transfer window might be something similar to last year, but instead of forward players, we just focus on midfield and we just buy like quality players, like just buy three quality players. They're not going to be cheap, but they're going to be,
yeah.
we're not going to have to worry about midfield for years if we get it right.
Yeah, that would be a plan. I think a lot of people are also they want us to sign fullback, maybe a versatile fullback. A lot of people now are concerned about center backs with Licha and Delit kind of being AWOL for. I mean, Delit's been gone since November. Like that's insane. McGuire's future is still up in the air, so a lot of people. I mean, you and I and Jarvis and Stu were talking about center backs a little bit earlier in the week as well. I do agree. We do need really we need three midfielders. We'll probably get two, and like Carl Anka was speaking earlier in the week that we'll probably sign a big one, a smaller fee one, and then maybe look at the academy for the third option. I do think Ugarte needs to go. I do think that the question mark. I think the question mark for me is how people feel about Kobbie because we keep getting linked to multiple really first starting 11 quality midfielders who complement each other. People are like, I want an Anderson and a Stiller. Like Stiller's a playmaker. Kobbie is technically a little bit of that play. So where do people see Kobbie in terms of the match day 11? Is he just young and he's going to rotate? Whereas there was a time when people thought he would start week in and week out. Where do you stand on Kobbie in relation to our midfield priorities this summer?
Yeah, I've seen things where they talk about Mainoo, and it's going to be like Manchester United. Apparently, from what I've read a couple of days ago, or a few days ago, they're looking for players that can play alongside Mainoo, but also instead of Mainoo. And I think that makes sense if you consider a two cup runs, for example, and a Champions League amount of games where it could be at least 10, 12 games in that competition. And I think that you'd look at 2 games a week thinking, maybe mainly starts one or sometimes plays two. I think what you need to look at is probably like what happens if Bruno Fernandes stays. That's probably a positive because otherwise we're going to have to get a replacement for him as well.
Yeah,
But I think one of the things is that if you try to replace Casemiro with one player, it's really difficult. Like
yeah,
there isn't somebody that's going to be what's Casemiro's like dual percentage or win rate. It's like it's so high, isn't it? He's like on the top percentile. So
yeah.
he's so
He's
good in the
there's
air.
been countless
It's
matches this season where he's won the most duels in a match.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you can't replace Casemiro, and you can't make Casemiro 5 years younger. So you have to look at a different player. I think Anderson is obviously like a one of the top ones for Man United fans, and I think it's because of his energy. He does win the ball back more than anybody, but his he doesn't have as good a dual contesting rate as someone like, I think it's like Wharton or Baleba, but he is no, he does contest a lot more duels. I think it's really difficult. I think Maine is going to stay. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. And it's difficult to say with at the moment. Maine is obviously a first team player because there's no other options. But then nobody knows how Baleba, Anderson, Wharton, Stiller would look in a Man United team because every player can sometimes look better in a different team, and you put them in Man United, and it's a different. I think for any player like an Edison, who was linked, I think, a little bit this morning, and an Angela Stiller, how quickly would they be up to speed? Like we look at Florian Wirtz, who looks a lot better recently, but the first 6 months, a shadow of what he was doing in the Bundesliga.
Scored
And
a
I think that
couple
would be the
goals, so he's
same.
worth the money, right? Cool.
I don't think he's worth the money. I think if United signed Angela Stiller and Anderson, there's no doubt Angela Stiller for me would be on the bench to start with until he, like, maybe he could prove himself. And maybe he could hit the ground running. It's difficult to know. But I think the main thing is you've got to have competition. You know how we had this competition for about a week between Dorgu and Cunha before Dorgu got injured? You kind of
Yeah.
need that sort of thing in midfield. So I'm happy. I'm happy for Manny to start, but I'd love to have someone on the bench that's threatening to take his place away, just to keep the healthy competition going.
Yeah, and that's kind of what my next point was. Is there was a time at United, let's say like strikers in the '90s, we had four class strikers starting for us, and we rotated. I mean, look at City's squad when they were winning trebles. Look at Madrid squad. Like we need strength and depth. The drop off when I mean, we had Taro Malasia coming on the pitch recently. Like we need depth. When we have to, Casemiro goes off after 65, 70 minutes, we're bringing on Ugarte. I mean, I'm not trying to make it personal, but the levels of between Casemiro and Ugarte, even a 34-year-old Casemiro and Ugarte is just, it's stark. It's worrying that that's where we are right now. If Mainoo goes down injured, we don't have anybody to play next to him that can do what Mainoo does. We just don't, unless you want to drop Bruno deep, move Cunha in, and then put Mbumo or Ahmad on the left hand side. Like that's where we are. We need to maybe get some depth. So I mean, I agree. Maybe if we pay money for Baleba, maybe we're only playing one game a week right now. We could be playing 4 games a week. Maybe they are going to rotate, but they are, even with that in mind, will still get 25 to maybe even 30 games depending on how they perform as well. I don't mind getting back to that point personally. It's interesting to me though that we were linked to Baleba, obviously under a different manager. We played a different system, and that's kind of where we left off before you jumped on. So are we worried at all that 3-4-2-1 under Amorim we were targeting Baleba versus now? Do we think that he would be able to do both? Because under Amorim's system, the midfielders needed to do a little bit of everything, and you can kind of see under Carrick it's somewhat the same. But do you think you'd be just fine there?
I think most midfielders would find it a lot easier under Carrick than they would under Ruben Amorim. And I think we were looking at. I think you needed to be an athlete. Do you remember the Eric Ten Hag setup as well, where our fullbacks had to play as wingers? Like Liverpool just went, okay, let's just kick the ball into the space where there's no one there, and
Yeah.
just exploit it. And I think what we've seen is we've seen maybe like 2 years, 2.5 to 3 years, where we've asked so much of midfielders that people have been blaming the midfielders, where sometimes Casemiro had to cover about a quarter of the pitch on his own, and it was just ridiculous and not sustainable.
Yeah.
And I think Baleba would have been one of the better options for his mobility for sure. I think if you play a more sensible formation like we're doing now, I think Baleba's still an effective player. He's still going to be able to do what he can do. And I think if anything, it just makes our team. One of the things I thought recently is that the benefit we're seeing now is not just that we look better as a unit, but also Casemiro can play the full match, where the amount of distance he was trying to cover under Ruben Amorim, he was burnt out at 70 minutes. Because, like you said, when we would go to the bench, do you remember probably about 4 years ago when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would go through matches not making a substitution, and you
Yeah.
look at the bench and thinking, that's why, because
Yeah.
the drop off is huge. And we had it the same last year, where we looked at the bench and we had Lindelof and about five people that had never kicked the ball for the first team. And I was going,
Yeah.
this is wow, this is worrying. And I think at the moment, the first few games under Michael Carrick was the first time I looked at the bench, and with having like this formation change and having like a Cunha or Sesko or Dorgu plus Sesko, we had a couple of bench options for the first time in a while, and it felt a little bit like we had a few more options. But I think next season, if we want to try and replicate what we're doing in the league and run a European campaign, like even when we played Arsenal, we beat Arsenal 3-2 away, but they brought on about four players from the bench that were first team players, and we didn't
Yeah.
have that option. And over the course of the season, that's the difference. Like it's just consistency, and we can't really, we've lost two games recently when we've had to play two games a week, and the reasons are kind of obvious, aren't they? That we could get to, when Malacia came on, he looked like someone that had not played football for months, and he also
Because
looked
he
like
is.
someone that didn't want to play football for Man United. Because
Well,
I've never
yeah, when
seen
he
a.
when, when he turned his back on the play, he looked like literally mid thought he just decided I don't want to be a footballer anymore, and then he just walked. He just
I've never
froze.
seen
I
anything
don't
like
get
it.
that. It was the
I
worst
just
thing I've ever seen.
people posted pictures of it, and I was like, wow. Like for Michael Carrick, what can you do when that? It was a good finish, but what can you do when you bring a player on who does that? That there's nothing you
Yeah,
can do, and
he just
that
looked
he
like
should
he
never
shut
play for
down.
Man United.
No, it's embarrassing. Yeah, but that was a point I made. Like that's where we are right now. I mean, we need to have players who not only can. I like depth, but in depth, it doesn't mean to me. It doesn't mean dropping quality. These players that we sign, whether they rotate it or not, they need to be trusted to start Premier League games. They need to be trusted to start in Europe as well. I mean, like you mentioned, Arsenal's midfield. Arsenal have Odegaard, Marino, Zubamende, Rice. These are all very good players. City's midfield the same. And we have to have players that we can trust to do that in case we do get injuries, in case we do need to rotate. Because, like you said, we've struggled just the couple times we've had a couple just a couple days in between, and that's not good. I touched upon it a little bit for the Legends members. If you got a sneak peek today at the video I did, the case against Michael Carrick, I did touch upon that a little bit. Spoiler alert, it does have a lot to do with the changes to the training that he's done since he came in compared to Ruben Amorim. So keep a lookout for that tomorrow. It'll be live for everyone else. But Baleba, are you worried at all about his drop off since that failed move in the summer? Do you think that people are reading too much into it? Do you think he's worth what we were going to pay? I mean, just I know there's something there, like he's got something, but I'm a little concerned about it. What are your thoughts on that whole aspect?
I think the price has to be right. Do you remember when we were signing Embuemo and there was like some story saying that we only want to pay a certain price? I can't remember if they specified what the price was, but Barada was like, we can't pay more than whatever it was. I think it was like 60 something. In the end, we
Yeah,
paid that plus some add-ons. But I think with Balibo, the story in the end of the summer was Manchester United wanted to do the deal for, I think it was like 65, 70 million, that sort of price, whereas Brighton wanted 100. That was kind of the
yeah,
story that was being floated. There was a big price gap. And I think United are looking at no, I think the prices that they're looking at paying are probably going to be that sort of 70 to 80 million pounds, like a little bit more than for attacking players, but maybe there is a precedent recently with like Declan Rice, Caicedo, of players going for big money in midfield positions. I'm not overly concerned about the drop off because with any player that's going to be what age 20, 21, then the fact he's playing every single match that how many players do that? Like, if you're a Man United player, you're not going to come through and play every single match at that sort of age. So I'm not overly concerned. I mean, Brighton have been struggling, and he's one of the younger players, so I don't think all the blame can be on him. It's a bit like if you have one good season as well, it's just as risky to buy a player after one good season or
oh
after
yeah,
a good international tournament.
yeah. Are you? I mean, there was like throughout the majority of this first half of the season, Baleba, yes, he started, but he was also like the first one subbed off routinely. Almost every single match, you can almost set your whole day to it. Like 50 minutes, 55 minutes,
Yeah.
he's getting subbed off. Like it is what it is. Like you're saying, he is young, and I think he's around the same age as Kobbie as well. And I use the same thing with Kobbie or any young players, even Dorgu to an extent. Like they're young. The one consistent thing you can expect from young players is inconsistency. It is what it is. But it's six, seven, the amount of money that Brighton were asking. No, 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 not paying that. Danny says 40, 50 million tops for Baleba. I mean, if he's not, I have a hard time spending more than that on a player who's not immediately going to walk into the starting 11. Like, I'd spend 80 on Anderson, I'd spend 80 on Tonali. I'm not spending that much on Carlos Baleba at the moment. It's just not for a developmental player personally. Let's see. Storm King says, I don't trust Baleba as far as I could throw him. I'm typing this with my toes. All right. Well, that was probably a little bit more about Storm King than we all thought we were going to learn today. But hey, you're very, very dexterous then. Very, very well done. Goals. We got to have goals in life. While we're talking about big money players, while we're talking about things, so Anderson, it's no secret if you watch the channel, Anderson's my top priority signing for the summer. I've seen a lot of people coming. I don't know where this claim started. Well, I found out where it started, but they say like he's chosen City. He's chosen City. That's coming from, I think Graham Bailey was one of the first person to kind of throw that out there, that he says it's basically a done deal. I know everyone's going to have their own kind of hierarchy when it comes to sources. Graham Bailey writes for Team Talk. That's all I'm going to say on Graham Bailey. I don't rate Team Talk too highly personally, but I'm not saying this means he's not going to City. I don't know if that means he's not going to United either. Forest are fighting, stay up. It sounds like they're through on Pens, according to Danny. He is my top choice. Throw Mason Mount in the deal. Throw a youngster on loan in the deal. Whatever you need to do. Give him the number 7 shirt as far as I'm concerned. He's a general. He's a leader. He's really added different strings to his bow. He's future captain material as far as I'm concerned. What are your thoughts on Anderson? What do you think the price should be? Where does he land in your hierarchy? And do you think it's going to be a tug of war between us and City to get him over the line this summer, Rich?
Yeah, it's tricky. I'll say this. I think anyone watching that's ever watched my channel will know been my top priority for about, I don't know, since at least last summer, because I think it's the one thing when we looked at all the different candidates and you go through strengths and weaknesses, when it comes to Anderson, you just go through strengths. And I think that's the thing, that you look at one player that could definitely do so much good in the team in terms of like replacing some of the workload Casemiro does in terms of like defensive responsibilities. I've seen a few people, and I will say this as well. You know, when you're watching football live, you get to see more, don't you, than if you're watching it on TV. And a few
Mm,
people I know that have watched Anderson live recently have said he's excellent at shielding the back four. So defensively, he's
yeah,
spot on. And I think that's something which should be a bit of priority because Casemiro was so good defensively. I think a lot of people forget because he's come sort of transformed into a match winner recently, and
yeah,
he's kind of our best set piece threat. Also with this one, I think he's got the range of passing. He's got like leadership qualities that you mentioned. I think if you're going to pick one player, because we kind of like prioritize things, don't we? And go right. If there's one player you're going to blow like big money on, then I think Anderson is the guy
yeah.
because I
He's the
can't
guy.
think of any weaknesses. He's playing in a team that, let's be honest, Forest have been awful this season
Yeah.
for most of it. They're fighting relegation, but he stands out as one of the younger players actually still performing well. And I've kind of made excuses for Belieber, Brighton playing badly, but Forest are rubbish. and
They've been
he
through how many
stands out.
managers this season? I mean, that's not a good sign. The money.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? And I think if you
What?
look at the other ones, I think Wharton's very good. I think Wharton has this ability to pick out some really good passes and is
Yeah.
probably on the list in terms of one of the best in terms of like some of the passes he makes. But I
Hmm.
think to suit Manchester United and like kind of the style we like, where you want a bit of mobility in attack, someone that's going to be able to transition quickly. I think Anderson just ticks every box, doesn't he? The
Yeah.
difficulty is going to be what's the best option for Anderson? Like Manchester United, like we all think is the best club. And the one thing I would say is that if he joined Manchester United, he would be getting regular first team football, something which you can't really take it for granted at City. You know, when we talk about say reindeers, Cherky, Semenyo, Haaland, Foden, like these players could get dropped. But if they come to Manchester United, they're definitely first team players. And I think with City, you know, he might go there thinking he's first team player, but with City, they might buy someone next the week after. that's then their first team player. You never know. And
Yeah, could be a James
it's
Trafford, Donnarumma situation all over again. Um,
do you think
I
though it's also really difficult to say in the next couple of years, like if Pep leaves City, like it's 2 years without winning a title, in the next 5 years, I mean, this is kind of hoping, but and Mbeumo and Cunha brought into the vision, we need to either work out whether they're keeping Carrick or get a new head coach lined up. Because I think the worst thing that we can have in the summer is uncertainty about what's going on. I think otherwise, City might have uncertainty at the moment, but if they kind of sort that out, they might be in the pole position anyway.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out a little bit for a second. I couldn't hear most of that last part, but that's all right. I I love Elliot Anderson. Obviously, we don't have any idea of what's going on with City. Danny makes a good point. They got Mateus Nunez real quick when Kevin De Bruyne went down injured, and they've been playing him as a right back for most of the time. Nico Gonzalez, another big player they bought. I think that there's a couple things with City that I'm like. Look at Jack Grealish, for instance. Pep has a because of the way Pep plays, he has a way of taking everything that we really like about a player, everything that's in the individual stuff, and he kind of filters all that out, and it leads to a lot of burnout. Obviously, we Jack Grealish was, in my opinion, a bit of a flop at City because of it. A lot of players are being shuffled around. They get booted when they talk back, like Cancelo did. I I think that, and I mean, does he want to be playing in the championship next season? We'll see. We'll see what happens when the charges drop. But I think that, yeah, like Danny says, Turkey, he's absolutely destroying Turkey. Um, so I could see him playing. I think he's good enough to play for City. I just think that I think Carrick, especially since it's Carrick. If Carrick's still here, I think that Carrick being a class midfielder when he was a player, I think that could be a help. He didn't have to have PEDs like Pep. It is what it is. Sorry, YouTube, if you don't like me saying that, but it is what happened. What I love about Anderson, all the things you said, dropping deep, screening the defense, developing his passing range, leader, physical. I love midfielders, especially midfielders who play in a deeper role who want the ball. Anderson is always putting himself in a position to receive the ball, to get his team out of trouble, to ease the pressure, to be an option for his defense, for his midfield partners, for his fullback. His understanding of the game, his reading of the game, his awareness, and his just that willingness and the backing of himself to want to do that, to want to take the chart. He's like the way Bruno does, except Anderson does it a little deeper position. I really like that because we've had a lot of midfielders who played that role over the years who don't really like that pressure, that role. Fred didn't really like the ball. McTominay definitely didn't want the ball in that deep position, and that's fine. That's not their position, but Anderson wants the ball. He trusts himself on the ball, and he's shown that he can deal with that when he gets the ball. This is Pep is losing it. How much do you think it would cost to get Anderson?
Yeah, it's probably one of the ones where I think it'd be expensive. There was
Yeah,
like some rumor, I don't know if it's actually true. There was some rumor of if Forest don't get European football, which they're not going to get European football, there's supposed to be like a cheaper release clause for a Champions League team, which of course would be
yeah,
any of the teams that are generally interested in Anderson, and it would be cheaper, which would be about a £50 million price. If that's true, then it'd cost that. If there was no clause, I think this is Ben Jacobs saying this. I don't know whether it's 100% true, but if there is no clause, I think otherwise he's going to be up there, isn't he? I think 100 is a lot for any sort of player, but I'd
yeah,
imagine that what would happen with this sort of deal, like this happened the last year or so, is that and at some point Anderson will make it known where he wants to go. I don't think you get bidding wars anymore. I think you'd look at a price that Forest would be happy to cash in. I'd imagine like 80 plus some
yeah,
add-ons has got to be like they spent 35 million on Anderson. This is going to be a massive, massive like money spinner for them. So I don't think they can take the piss because there are other midfielders available. I think 80-ish sounds like about fair price.
yeah. That's about what I thought. I think, and like you said, no bidding wars. I think that's something we've seen from United under Ineos a little bit. We're not wasting our time with players who maybe are considering other clubs. We kind of get the buy-in from the player first, and then we kind of just like, cool, we'll go for it. We did it with Mbumo, we did it with Cunha, we did it with Shesko. Like these players want to come to us, and that's we're not wasting time kind of chasing these guys around anymore. So I think we'll find out pretty quickly whether or not, well, like you're saying, where Anderson has decided, and if he's not chosen Man United, I think we'll quickly pivot to another option. But he should be my top priority personally. I put a poll out last week. Stephanie, big up, Steph's in the house. Welcome back, Steph. I put a poll out last week with that 80 million, kind of 85 million pound tag in mind on the channel. Would you pay that much for Elliot Anderson, or would you maybe get these two players together for the same amount? Mateus Fernandez and João Gomez. Obviously, Danny loves him, João Gomez. Big up, Kai. Because we got reports last week that United were actively scouting Mateus Nunes. We also got fresh reminders recently that United and Liverpool are reportedly interested in signing João Gomez. Both players look very light. I mean, Wolves pretty much a dead cert for relegation. West Ham, Forest, these guys are all fighting. Spurs still fighting. I think João Gomez has been stellar recently. I think I watched him play at Old Trafford when I was there around festive period. He looked really good. He's been really good recently. He's been popping up some great moments. Mateus Fernandez, I think, since he's come from Southampton, where he was more of a 10, he's really added. He's added a layer to his game. He's stepped up in taking on that deeper role left by Lucas Paquetá. And again, majority of people who voted in that poll, there were like almost 60 votes. They did vote that they would rather take both of these players for collectively around the same price as it would cost for one Elliot Anderson. What are your take on these two players? Are you still just Anderson or bust, or are you maybe looking to spread that money out a little bit like a frugal director of football?
I'm thinking we need to find a way of getting three people in. So I've said this in terms of this is kind of like my breakdown is what I've said a few times. I'd go for like one premium signing, which might be like your Anderson, might be your Wharton, one that's going to cost, like we said, about 80 million. I think then you look at players like this, which you might be able to get for 40, and you look like players like a Gume, Buwadi, other players that maybe, and actually I could put probably Angela still into that category as just players in a different league. I think Manchester United are going to be primarily looking at the Premier League, like we did with Bremo and Cunha, but also, I think once we leave the Premier League, the price has got to come down significantly. I think that's the way we're looking at it. Like the way we go for players from the Bundesliga or in the French league is going to be because Vivell likes them, thinks we can get a good deal, and I think that might be that he does seem to like Stiller. That's why I think there may be something in that. Do you know what it feel? It feels a bit like at the moment. This is kind of my guess of where the situation is going to, how this is going to play out. Man United have a short list, which I think we both know is not short anymore. It covers pretty much any good midfielder in the Premier
Yeah.
League, as well as like any up and coming midfielder in Europe, and a few people like
Any
Edison.
Leipzig player that
Yeah.
Vivell has connection to has been connected, yeah.
Do you know what I'm thinking? Honestly, this is my prediction. It feels a bit like Manchester United need to decide whether they're going to get a new head coach or stick with Carrick. And I get the feeling that once they got that person in, they're going to be pretty happy getting three players off this list of about 10. And maybe that there might be a little bit of influence from if it's Carrick, maybe there might be a bit of influence. If it's a different head coach, maybe because I think we'd have gone for Baleba if we'd have kept if we kept Amorim, we'd definitely go for Baleba, is my
Yeah.
view. But I think now it's a bit unclear. I think Baleba's still being mentioned, and I think he's still good. And if the more the price comes down, the more I'm kind of like on board with it. But I honestly get the feeling that at the moment, it'd be nice, wouldn't it, to actually have some sort of idea of what our main target is. It feels like our main target is Anderson, but it
Yeah.
feels like it's the most difficult one to get. So it feels a bit like, do you remember in January when Man United said we're going to go all out for Semenyo, and promptly City just bought Semenyo, and we were going,
Yeah.
okay, great. So when I saw the story about Anderson, I just thought I got flashbacks to Semenyo and thought, okay, fair enough, City.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I remember we had that money set aside, which it's a touchy subject for me because I'm like, if we had that money set aside, then why didn't we get anybody
I
else in
know.
January with it?
Why
But
don't we get a midfielder just to make sure
yeah,
we get? Do you know what the most frustrating thing is now? We got hardly any football. That's annoying. But
Yeah.
also, we're bringing Malacia and Agate on, and I'm thinking, why don't we buy someone in January just to make sure we finish Champions League? Because it feels like it was like nailed on if we did a little deal or two. It's crazy. What's your take, Sean? Like, what's your favorite option?
It's hard, right? Because I think I come back to something you said earlier, which I've not really considered, but now that I think about it, I'm like, you know what? Just screw it, go for it. Like maybe just go big on midfielders, like we did on attackers, and maybe like we spent a lot of money on three attackers, but maybe we just do that. Maybe we get these two and we get Anderson, and that's like 160 to 170 million on midfielders alone. And now we've got with Kobbie in there, we've got four quality midfielders who will get decent minutes, who are proven in the Premier League as well, who can be trusted to do it week in week out if we need to. I don't have a problem with that. But then like the scout nerd in me is also like, oh, if we can get Anderson or if we can get these two, we could also get like Agume and Yarenki for like just another 50 million maybe total. And that's four players, and you still got, 100 extra 80 million to work with that you didn't have to spend on Anderson. Like it's hard for me not to go that route, but again, I think that it's I could go either way, honestly. I think no matter what my answer is, my must have for right now is Elliot Anderson because I need Elliot Anderson in my life. I need to see him at Old Trafford. I need him wearing the number 7 shirt. I need him wearing the armband in the future. That's where I'm at right now.
Do you think with this as well that because we bought someone like Cunha and Buemo, who are obviously quality players, but the mid-20s, you kind of got them for at least 5 years, I feel, at kind of the top.
Yeah.
If you get Anderson, how old is he, like 21? That could be a decade. So this big expense on midfield in the summer, you don't have to do it next year. Do you? You don't have to do it next year. It's like no, these midfielders are not hitting the wall at 23, so you
Yeah.
don't have to rebuild. I was always concerned about buying players at Casemiro's age because there's only one way, and it's not up in terms of how they're going to perform.
Yeah.
Casemiro is very good. Don't get me wrong, but if you're going to spend big, then Anderson for me, if you get it right, then you don't have to. You can. It's difficult because when you look at our squad, we do need a backup for the forward position, maybe a left winger, maybe a left back,
Yeah.
probably a centre back. There's a lot of other issues, isn't there? I'm just
There are a
wondering
lot of
whether
issues.
that's why I think that Maguire might have his contract extended
Yeah.
because of De Ligt, basically. It's not that I think Maguire is irreplaceable. It's that I just don't think we can get many games out of De Ligt and Sandro Martinez. It's just a concern. And
Yeah, I'm worried about those. So Dylan, who's one of my co-hosts for our weekly show, we did a show a couple weeks back where each of us had 200 million pounds to spend this summer, basically, and we had to basically not rebuild, but we went on a little bit of a summer spending spree. We went all over the place. Dylan got most of the votes because he brought back Danny Welbeck because he was going for the heartstrings, but we had I mean, we each had a couple midfielders. We each had a striker. We each had, I think, a left back, and we each had, I think, a center back as well. We each and a left winger. We got like 5 or 6 players each for just under 200 million. So it can be done, but I think what that showed is that there are a lot of priorities. It's difficult to make that money spread out and cover all. We're not going to do everything in this summer. Is basically the point. Unless we get really creative, unless we move quickly. I do worry about the manager situation. If we don't get that kind of announced or known by the time the season ends, I do worry how that's going to start impacting our summer business with the World Cup. Because nobody does business during the World Cup. We can't afford to wait till after the World Cup to know who our manager is. Players want to know who they're going to be playing for if you're talking to them about signing. Like, it's really frustrating. Would you while we have you on the channel though, because I mean, well, let me throw that question back at you. What would your pick be? You asked me what my pick would be for me. What would your pick be then? How would you go about the midfield rebuild?
so I would get Anderson in at all costs if I could, because I think it's someone you can build around for the future. Now, if you got Anderson and Kobbie Mainoo, they could be your midfield, or midfield options for 10 years.
Yeah,
And I would like to see Man United go for some. You know how we went for Euro as a younger player in a different league, potential top quality. I'd like to see Man United try and get someone like Boadi, because he doesn't have to be a first team player either. Like
Yeah,
once you've got Kobbie Mainoo, you've got Anderson, and I would say like Fernandez is a good option. Gomez is a good option as well. I did say a few times in January, just get Gomez in. Just like what we're waiting for, get him
yeah,
in, and then we've got a good option there because I didn't have any confidence in Ugarte and thought that this is probably at the time as well where we didn't know Michael Carrick was going to take over. So I was just thinking like we need someone that's going to be able to come on like on 65, 70 minutes for Casemiro and not see a massive drop off, and also start games and play at a high Premier League level as well. So I would do that approach. Maybe go for that would probably end up costing, I guess, maybe 180 or maybe 100,
yeah,
maybe 160 if you got one 80 million pound player, two for 40, depending on how much Buwadi costs. But I'm just thinking that you got the sales coming in from Haaland, from Rasmus Højlund. Maybe Ugarte gets sold. Maybe Xerxes gets sold. I think that's likely.
oh, Nana as well.
Anana, yeah. And Bindy will go for a few quid, literally a
If
few quid.
if Greenwood gets
Um,
sold this summer, we get half of that fee as well. Plus the
yeah,
money we're saving if Casemiro with Casemiro off the wages as well, we'll be saving a bit of money there. Jaden Sancho will be off the wage books. Rashford's wages will be off the
yeah.
books as
That's
well.
£1 million of salary off the
Yeah,
books right there. The problem is, I think there's enough money to do things, but I don't think Man United can get all these deals done in one window. Like when we're talking about being potentially enough money to get six players done, then I don't know. I just don't feel confident that United. I get that this is my biggest worry is that United just spend a lot of time after a couple of different head coaches that are their preferred targets. I'd rather we just kind of like, why not find out now? Like, I don't know if they can find out now, but I don't know if we can actually get enough deals done after we got the head coach. Because I think the head coach has to be done first. If
yeah,
I'm Anderson, I'm not going to join Man United if I have no idea who the head coach is, because we've seen what's happened in the past with Amorim, Ten Hag, Carrick. These are very, very different head coaches, aren't they? And it might be that if you're a certain player, you might look at it and think, maybe I'll just go to City and win some trophies while I think about what's
I mean, it's I don't I mean maybe this is just the rival in me, but I'm like I can't fathom how right now with everything looming with City with these charges, why you would want to risk it going there? I mean, look at what happened with Chelsea, very very similar situation. I wouldn't risk it, but I'm not a player, so it is what it is.
I know it's weird, isn't it? Because like Chelsea got, I remember the story about Delap where he wanted game time and chose Chelsea, and I was thinking that's the one team where there's about 50 players, and you want guaranteed minutes, and you're going to go there. We've got no striker.
These players need some better people around them. I had an agent on the channel a couple weeks back. We sat down and did an interview. Really good insight on just what it's like being an agent and whatnot. But he's talking about sometimes you do have to be direct and challenge players. Sometimes give them a little bit of a reality check. Sometimes with not only with the way they behave and stuff off the pitch, but just their expectations and things on the pitch or even just at a club and things. Like some of the stuff he had to say was pretty eye opening. If you guys haven't watched that yet, go back and watch it. Really good guy, James Featherstone, owner of Omni Sports Agency. Really cool guy. I met him through the PFA course that I'm in. But yeah, I like Buwadi. I know Danny really likes Buwadi. I'm gonna go ahead and do this real quick since we're done talking about those cats. It's gonna be an interesting summer. I fully agree. We need the manager in place first and foremost because that's gonna dictate a lot. It's going to dictate the way we play. It's going to dictate again the signings. I don't think the manager is going to have a say, but I think the next thing it's going to dictate the system, and I think that's going to have a say in the profile of players that we go with. You're right. It does seem like Ineos are kind of looking more at the Premier League proven players. I do worry. I do share your concern that it's going to be hard. I don't think it's impossible to get this many deals done, but it has everything to do with your recruitment. And this whole we don't want to run to the wrong decision nonsense does my head in with Ineos. Like you can run to the right decision too. Like you can do that. Just go and get it done. Super super frustrating. Devasi likes Bawadi as well. Big up. Um, it's not easy. We've got a lot of midfielders linked. A lot of midfielders that I think improve the team. A lot of midfielders that I like. Obviously, we're not going to get all of them. it's going to be interesting summer. It's going to be a very, very important summer moving forward, especially with the outgoings that I think need to happen. Then we've still got question marks over guys like Mount, Shaw. I would personally, I would sell Dallo because I just don't rate Dallo, and I think we will make money if we sell Dallo, but I don't know how many ins and outs we'll be able to do this. It's going to be interesting summer, man. What are your while I've got you here, while we were talking about that, what are your predictions for this match tomorrow when I've got you here?
Yeah, so with this one, it's going to be a bit different, I suppose. Do you remember the 4-4 we had last
Yeah,
time we met them?
I try to forget,
And
but
I,
I can't shake it.
yeah, no, because I was thinking that 4-4 could have been 5-4, 6-4. I think Lammens actually played quite well in that game, made a couple of good saves towards the end. I'm just wondering whether that we changed a lot's happened since then. I don't think Bournemouth look as good as free. I don't know. We're not going to see a 4-4, I don't think.
No,
I'm kind of thinking this one that I don't know. I think I see Man United should be a lot better than we were in the first game. We shouldn't be as open. I think
yeah,
Semenyo caused us issues. I don't. United should be able to win this game. We should be going into it confident. I know that we had the disappointing performance against Newcastle. I think a lot of that was the turnaround time, and our squad is just not really. You know, the big problem, isn't it? Is like you bring on players like Agate and Malacia, and with Malacia, he may as well stay on the bench. It would have, we could have played with 10 men. So I feel optimistic, Sean. I say that I think optimistic. I don't see. No, Bournemouth, you can't write them off. They're going to be. They're a difficult team to play against for us. I think some teams suit us. Like I always think Aston Villa team is just a good team for us to play against. But apart from when forget when they're scoring wonder goals, but I think their high line is something we can exploit. We used to do that with pace with Rashford a couple of years ago,
yeah.
and this it was like Bruno's passing this time and runners from wide areas. So I think we can. There's some teams that match up well, but I think Bournemouth's one of these teams that sometimes we struggle against. But I don't see why we can't win this game. I think we probably got a really credible goal threat for the first time in ages. It feels like in this team, and I don't mind Sesko starting from the bench. I think Jallo is threatening. I think Mbuemo is getting a bit of stick, but he's still doing a lot of work off the ball. And I think Cunha, Bruno, Bruno's going to break the record, isn't he, of assists in a season?
I mean, I'm hoping. Do you think he gets a PFA Player of the Year this year, even if we don't win anything?
I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention to who wins the award, so I don't know what the precedent is for not winning it. Because usually, don't they pick the player from a winning team? So I'd imagine it
It's
might be
pretty
difficult.
split, I think. There are years when players like Holland and Salah have won it, but they haven't also won the league. It is voted on by the players, so
I
it's
think
gonna
he
be
might be a
interesting.
popular choice with players. I think he's very divisive with fans, but I think a lot of players do
Yeah,
respect him for. I think there's things that happen behind the scenes. Like people, I think players know kind of what other players do in terms of like things around, non kind of like on the pitch type things. And I think Bruno is respected with his peers, but I don't know.
yeah,
It's difficult, isn't it? Because Arsenal are going to win the title for the first time in 20 years, and I
that's
think
annoying.
that people are looking at Declan Rice as a leading candidate. But I don't know. I don't see Arsenal's. Okay, this isn't a biased take because I don't like Arsenal, which it is a fact. I don't like Arsenal,
I mean,
but
it's
Arsenal seem to be like a really consistent team. But I don't look at them as having like there's not. I wouldn't look at Arsenal and go, "Oh, if only we could nick all these players." I think they've got some very good players, but they don't look like when we played against Arsenal. I didn't think this is the best team I've ever seen. They're just good at the basics and they're good at corners and wrestling goalkeepers, but
yeah.
they're not the best watch.
No, they're not. I mean, it is what it is. They are getting over the line. They're kind of like, Harry Kane getting just pen after pen after pen not that long ago in international football. Like that's the way you do it, then that's the way you do it. Real quick, I want to shout out Jim. Jim's celebrating 5 months of membership on the channel. Hope we make a decision on coach soon, then transfers. Yeah, we fully agree, man. But big up 5 months for Jimbo. He gets
Unfortunately, can't do it in normal circumstances. Do you think that this one is that we're just done with Carrick? Because I tried to make this point myself that it's not just Carrick. Carrick seems to be he's kind of like the face of the project behind the scenes, isn't he? With it, assembling different coaches, and I think it's just something which it's a level of organisation we hadn't had before. I think we gave Amarin too much responsibility to just bring in coaches that maybe weren't good enough.
Yeah, yeah. His coaching staff left a little bit desired. It's I like Carrots. I mean, Johnny Evans is still a bit of the unknown for me because he's not quite proven
Yeah.
as a coach. But
Mm.
Holland, I think, because when Carrick was at Middlesbrough, he had his brother as his assistant, and now I think he's learned, and he bringing in Steve Holland, who's worked with some of the biggest coaches around. I think that shows me that Carrick is learning as a manager, which I think is something that is a big it's a big requirement for me as managers. You need to learn from mistakes. You need to learn in general, and I think that was a strike for me against Amorim in some cases that he didn't really seem like he quite learned from some of the things he could have done better at on the pitch. I do, yeah, we do need to get that manager in. So it's tomorrow is going to be interesting. Like you said, is different manager, different system. Last time we were very, very open. Last time, Krupi caused problems for us. They did not have Rayon last time. He is their Semenyo replacement as well. They haven't looked great. We do tend to be a little more compact, which was something we struggled with under previous managers. Bournemouth have a knack for pressing high. If I brought up that graph last time, they press high and they sit deep at the same time. They actually had the best passes per defensive action last year. So what that means is we will not get in as much touches on the ball before they start pressing us in our own third. So we need. This is probably my biggest criticism so far, and we saw it in the first half against Aston Villa. We don't move the ball very quickly, especially in that first phase. We have to do that tomorrow. If we dally on the ball, they're not going to give us space. And so if we don't move the ball quickly, I don't have a problem playing in Bumo as a 9, but if you're going to play him there, you have to get that ball forward quickly. Otherwise, he just runs out of space like he did against Villa. He's been nullified recently because we don't move the ball quickly enough. And so I would actually start Shesko personally. What are you predicting for score wise for this one? I called a 1-1 draw because they've got 3-0 draws in their last 5. It's been a far cry since that eight
Yeah,
goal thriller. What are you thinking?
they're the draw specialists, aren't they? They've drawn
Oh
like
man,
half the games, haven't they? It's crazy. Like they
I had to
drew,
check
I
if
think
Louis Van Gaal was their
Burnley,
manager the way they're
Brentford.
doing this.
Yeah, I don't see, it's weird, isn't it? Like, looking at their games, they drew with Sunderland, Villa, West Ham, and they scored like the most they scored was Everton, where they won 2-1. But I don't. I think with this one that yeah, so away to Bournemouth. This feels like one of those games where I think United have got a goal threat. I would be surprised if we don't score or create some chances. That I think one of these things I remember watching like Bournemouth for years. They tend to be one of these teams that sometimes maybe not so much recently, but once they get past that 40-point mark, and I'm looking at the league table, see, I don't know if they got ambitions of Europe. Maybe they're not that far off the mix. Though Newcastle probably could pick up more points. I'd say this is one of those games that could be like a 1-1 draw, or if United play well, then on our day, I think we can create more chances and nick the game 2-1. But I think it's going to be one of these difficult games where, like I said, we need to. I think this might be one of those games where if they're pressing high, then Lamans can just boot it. Like there's
Yeah.
no point in messing about with.
Mm.
They're one of these teams where I don't mind if Lamans boots it clear a few times early on, but it might be one of these. Like you remember the Arsenal game where maybe the first 20, 25 minutes will be a bit of a siege. Where I think a lot of the time I think that our football tends to be with like a 90-minute plan. So the first 30 minutes will look really bad. And I think it'll be negative football and people will be angry. But I think in the second half, when things open up, I think we could nick it 2-1, is my point. But I think it's going to be tough. Like Bournemouth
Yeah.
don't give up a lot. They've had so many low scoring draws that it's. How do the fans cope? Looking at this, they
I
scored
don't
like about
I don't know,
two
man. I
goals in the
mean,
last 4.
Dylan and I were talking about it like, yeah, I don't get. I would be so frustrated with a bunch of nil-nils. We've got the players. I think, like you're saying, we could nick it. I think because they're at home, we're away. I don't think the pressure is as much on us as it is them. I think, and like Tabasi says, and like Dylan was saying, like we were talking about in the preview from the other day, I think that they're not comfortable when they have a lot of possession. I think we're almost better when we have less possession, right? We sit a little compact. We look to hit quick on these transitions, if we the opportunities there. I think we just let them have the ball because they don't really know what to do with it when they. Senesi, I put up a pass map from him this season. He is their main distributor from the back. He's trying to find these wide players. If we can just let them have the ball and just make it difficult for them to get in and around dangerous areas, I think that especially their fans are the ones that are going to be letting them have it. So I think that, like you're saying, weather that storm and just wait for the opportunities to come to us. Don't play their game by trying to go toe to toe with them and trying to do that. Just let them have the ball. I think we might have a better chance here. Like Lanny says, let them have the ball, sit mid block, and I think we do them. Yeah, I don't probably want that. Like Rob Taff says, I would start Shesko. I actually had Mbumo on the bench, and I was starting Ahmad and Cunha because I think that I just Mbumo's not been great for me recently. I don't know if this is necessarily going to be the match for that, but we'll see. The front four going into a front three is a little tricky these days, but there's nothing wrong with having those options, right? But you're going with
A
it.
bench option, isn't it? I don't
Yeah,
mind. To be honest, I don't really mind either way who's like benched. I think what we're seeing, like, I think from Michael Carrick, I think there's a lot of trust in Mbeumo in terms of defensive work, but also experience in the Premier League, and I think that's why he's kind of edging over Armadillo. It's not because of his, he's not scoring goals, he's not
yeah,
creating goals, but I think it's just that in the first part of the game, he puts the work in, and I think it also, the amount of distance he covers is important at the start of the match. I think at the start of matches with Michael Carrick, you can see clearly they just don't want to give anything away cheap. They want to
yeah.
be difficult to play against. And I think Mbeumo, he does that well, doesn't he? He'll press centre backs. He'll put pressure on them, but then he'll get back into shape. He's going to be someone that can do that for most of the match. I feel quite relaxed about it regarding this is the first time for ages where I don't feel too stressed because even if Man United concede a goal, I feel like we've got a plan and we've got a better strategy because we've come back quite a few games recently. I think we've got a bit more tenacity as well. But I think Mbeumo would, for me, I'd start him. Whether that's going to be instead of Sesko or Almajalo, I'm kind of 50-50. I wouldn't mind seeing Sesko start. And I think the only thing stopping him starting is just I think next season he will be a starter, but I think this season,
Yeah.
I think when like managers just go right, this is our default policy. It feels a bit like the default policy is going to be, and Buemo starts because we keep winning games. Generally, I think he's not going to change too much.
Yeah, I haven't seen Carrick change a whole lot unless injuries have forced his hand, which could be a bit of a strike against him here and there, just with the big up Sanchit. With, like, again, you've got players who are really rusty. I do think you need to utilize the squad. Like, I was surprised that we brought on Malacia instead of, like, Heaven, for instance, who may have been a little better of an option in that game. It is what it is. But you
Yeah, I,
think
I don't think he'll be making that mistake again, Sean.
if we'll see if he learns. I mean, I've been a little frustrated at times with the way that he's set up against these low block teams. I think that, in my opinion, Sheska would have been a little better option when you're just trying to get away into the box. Just put it in the box. He can out jump anybody in the league. Just put it in the box for him. I don't have a problem with it. But I still feel like this could be a 1-all. You think we could nick it 2-1 maybe? Don't have a problem with that. So. But we will see you tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll be back talking about some 3 points because going into an international break, no football for 3 weeks, I'm going to be bored out of my mind. And
There's been
I would
hardly
like,
any games there. Do you feel there's a little bit more that there's less maybe there's a little bit less pressure on Man United in a couple of these games because we beat Aston Villa, so it's not that we have to. Sometimes we looked at games maybe like a month ago or 2 months ago where it's like, oh, if we just win this game, we can get into the champion. Like, whereas now we're third. If we
yeah,
can just keep picking up points, then Aston Villa, Liverpool, Chelsea, they're going to be playing each other as well. They've got difficult games coming up and they're dropping points with regularity as well. So I think it's just to keep things ticking over. If we can nick a win, great result. I won't be. I'll be disappointed if we draw. I always want to win every game, but I think that there seems to be a bit more relaxed approach to Man United games recently, where I think the players seem a bit more confident. We're not. looking too nervous, like maybe at the start of the season, there's more pressure. I think there's pressure on a lot of other teams now that, like Liverpool, for example, Chelsea, high expectation to get in the Champions League. And actually, on the back of some dreadful results recently for some of these teams in Europe.
I think that there should never not be pressure as a Manchester United player. It's there's a fine line, I think, between confidence and complacency, and I think that there are times where we've kind of zigzagged into the wrong side of that. I think that some matches it definitely has felt like we've shown up expecting maybe to not have to put out too much of an effort. And I think we've been punished for that. I think there should always be pressure to do well, whether we think we're locked in top four or not. We could push for second for City if they keep playing the way they've been playing. We're only going to be if we win this one, we're not. I think we're what 4, 5 points behind them if we win this. Like that should be the pressure. Get us. There's very little matches left after this as well.
Yeah,
Like we
exactly. I
need.
think with this one, like if you can get a win, massive result, because then at the moment we're what 6 points ahead of Chelsea. If we can get
Yeah,
9 points ahead, it's
yeah,
going to be looking pretty good.
yeah. Sanchi's got a question here because had a lot to do with my thoughts on Ahmad because you were talking about Mbumo putting a shift off the ball. I thought Ahmad looked very, very good against Villa. I thought he was winning balls. He was putting up a fight. He was unlucky to not get a goal. I thought Shesko should have laid him off. What are your thoughts on Ahmad? Are you happy with the rotation? Do you think he should be playing more?
You think at this point in time, then I think him being rotated in and out is absolutely fine. Like I think he's a good player. I think Mbeumo for me is probably edges it in like the work rate, but also I think Almajolo is definitely. I think sometimes that I just get frustrated. He doesn't make decisions quicker, but I think he's
Yeah,
improved. I think there was definitely some vulnerability with Almajolo defensively, which I don't see as much. I think he's doing more than he was. I think there was definitely some vulnerability last season when he's trying to defend inside, and I think this season at the start as well. But no, he's one of these players, isn't he? That again, I think one of the things that happens is when you look at say Cunha and Buemo, Almajalo, the fact that he makes runs and puts pressure and draws defenders to actually go to him opens up space for other people. And a lot of people look at who finishes the goals, who scores the chances. And for me, I don't really care who scores because look how many goals we're scoring now. We beat the last season's goal tally about 3 games ago. And
yeah,
Majal is part of that. He draws defenders out. Benjamin Sesko was doing it as well when he was scoring. And Wemo does it as well. And I think they all, if someone's double teaming Ahmad Jallow on the right hand side, then there's a space somewhere else on the pitch, and
yeah,
I think he's doing a good job. I think it's hard to criticise an individual player when the team was winning. I know people will have agendas, etc., but I think Ahmad Jallow, it's probably quite good, isn't it, for us fans to actually have some competition because he literally had no competition last season, and even
yeah,
like Cunha is one of my favourite players. When he got benched for Dorgu, I was like, nice, let's see how Cunha responds. And his response was to set up a goal for Dorgu against City and a goal which was wrongly disallowed, in my opinion, for somebody else. And that
yeah.
perfect response. You bench him again, he scores the winner at Arsenal. So I think that the players are actually responding quite well to what's happening.
And that's something I spoke about in my video, my case for Carrick is there's a little glimpse of the Sir Alex in that where there's like benching a player like Cunha almost can get the most out of him a little bit, gets him a little aggravated, gets him a little fired up. And he came on, I forget what was that Fulham or I can't remember what match it was, or was it Arsenal where he came on and he was a man possessed. He was perfect
Yeah, he
when he
came on
came on.
against City as well and ran
Yep.
down the right hand side, got that cross in for
Yeah, yeah,
Dorgu
that's it.
for his score.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
I
was a
think
machine, wasn't he? He responded in the right way, where you go, right, you're benched, and Cunha just came on just to
yeah.
prove he shouldn't be benched. The perfect response. I think Cunha, for me, I think he's one of my favourite players because I think he's got the drive that he doesn't always get the results. And I think people get maybe. Do you remember the Wolves game where Cunha took about I don't know, felt like 20 shots, and it felt like he'd summoned like, his inner Garnacho for selfishness. And I was thinking,
Yeah.
he just wants to score against the Wolves because he
Yeah.
left them. That's all it is.
Yeah, he does. He does get a bit of tunnel vision at times. I think he holds onto the ball a little too. There was another game recently where he really should have squared it to Shesko. We had a 2v2, and he just held onto it too long. Stuff like that sometimes will do my head in a lot, but I like Cunha a lot. I think he's an amazing player. Like Danny says, he is a bit of a baller. I think he has a personality similar to Micah Goetz, the Ajax winger that we've been linked to recently, that I've scouted a couple times. There's a bit of that maverick. There's that confidence, that not like the Garnacho cockiness, but like just that Cunha-esque, that maverick, that a little bit of a hint of shithousery to his personality that I really like. And I think we need more of that. We want players who walk in thinking that they're better than other players. Whether or not on paper they are is one thing, but I want players who fight like that on my side, because we've been pretty weak-minded and weak-spined for a while at this club, and it's like to get back to that. Well, I'm just getting caught up in the chat before I let you guys take off. I know we've kept you here for a long time today, Rich. I appreciate you jumping on, though.
Yeah, it's been my first stream for a little while, so it's all good.
Sanchez says, I think Cunha has a captain in the making talent. Do you think Cunha is future captain material? I know you like him a lot.
It's difficult to say, isn't it? I see a lot of traits in Cunha with, I think, his determination. I think it's different to Bruno, because I think Bruno's got the leadership we see on the pitch with younger players. I
Yeah,
think with Cunha, I think it is about the team, to some extent, where you can see him sometimes doing the things that are required to win the game, which aren't necessarily just about him. But I don't know. I think maybe I don't, it's difficult to say, isn't it? Because I think we've got some good players in our team that pretend with leadership. Maybe, maybe
yeah,
it's difficult. I think with there are different types of captains as well. I think Cunha is clearly somebody that loves playing for Man United. You can see he's thriving when we're doing well, and you can see his determination to get us winning games. And I think it is about winning. That's kind of the one thing I've wanted as a fan. I want to sign a player that's quality, but also is determined, determined to win above everything else. And he's got that. So maybe you can see. I think captains do evolve. Like Bruno Fernandes is what, 5 years older than
yeah.
Cunha, and I think you can see that he's a bit like a coach now, isn't he, Bruno, in terms of with younger players. I think with Cunha, maybe this season, a lot of it is about is jumping up from Wolves to Manchester United, and that's probably going to be his focus. But I think like Sanchez makes a good point there. I think he's got a lot of attributes you want to see in a captain.
Yeah, if you would have asked me 4 months ago who would be taking over the armband when Bruno left, I might, without even hesitation, my answer would have been Matthias de Ligt. Again, you got to be available. I can be pretty ruthless when it comes to injury prone players. I'm, like I've said, guys, and I've defended Licha to the hilt, but the ACL and now the calf. Now I'm quiet, like so much so that I actually chose a center back in my 200 million pound rebuild video because I was ready to move on. So I don't know at the moment, like you're saying, I don't know if I see Captain and Cunha this second. I think some of that personality would need to be fine tuned a little bit, directed. I like passion, I like that, but it needs direction, it needs focus, it needs a little bit of control. Because at the moment, I'm not sure that it's controlled in the right way. Justin's in the house. Oh, Justin gets one of these whenever he jumps in. This is my buddy Justin Rich. I've known him for like 15 years. He lives nearby, so I will be seeing Justin tonight. We got trivia tonight, so we'll be doing that. Stephanie's showing the love. Yes, I did have Rich on today. If you're just joining us, Rich over at Red Devils United, hopefully going to get that channel activated back soon. He's dealing with some stuff with YouTube at the moment, but had him on today so he could let us all know what's going on and kind of reconnect with everybody a little bit. And I was very happy to have him on. It's the first time I think you've been on my channel. I've been on your channel a couple times. So, but any final thoughts on any of this, Rich, before I let you take off and let everybody get on with their day? And
On the transfer speculation, is that
just anything we spoken about today, the match, the Bournemouth, any of it that you maybe didn't get to
I
get
think
off
the
your
main thing
chest.
is I feel like we're making better decisions as a club. But one of the things that maybe divided people's opinion at the start of the season was how good were the players we signed in the summer. And I think once we've actually, there's two things in mind. I think the players would have naturally got better over the season as they get the chemistry between different players improves. And I think one thing we're seeing now, and this is kind of the reason why I'd like to see Carrick stay, is that I feel like behind the scenes, the first thing Carrick did was we took Euro Aiden Heaven out of the team. People panicked. And I think what we saw was training videos, working with coaches. And if we're going to go down the route of signing Aiden Heaven, Yoro, Dorgu, say Boadi, the next generation of quality players, it's so important to actually have coaching and a strategy of what to do with these players. And I don't think we'd seen that with Eric Ten Hag. I think his strategy was Mainoo, you're playing every single game, and hopefully you will learn how to play that way. And I think what we're seeing now is a more sensible strategy behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
if we keep Carrick, I know people will some people think it's a good idea. Some people will go, no, let's get the best coach available. Maybe for Man United at this point in time, with all the holes in our squad and the instability of what's going to happen, maybe Carrick for 1 or 2 years is actually a good idea. Maybe it would be good for the players to have some sort of stability. I don't know, because if we get another head coach in, the question's going to be, say you got Luis Enrique. Is Luis Enrique going to walk into Man United and go, great, I've got to coach all these players and build for the future? Because I don't think that's what he wants. I think it's different.
Yeah.
I think Carrick would be happy because as a Man United fan, I kind of want sustained success. I don't want to, I don't want Chelsea like winning I don't want to win like a Mickey Mouse trophy and then fall
Yeah.
apart in the major trophies. I want to see Man United do maybe a little bit like Arsenal do, but actually get over the line a bit quicker. So if we can finish
Yeah.
third this season, next season finish similar but have a good European campaign, I don't mind keeping Carrick. I don't see the downside at the moment. I think there's a bigger downside in gambling on a coach we don't know that doesn't know Man United, that doesn't know the Premier League.
Yeah.
But I just hope that we do. I think the transfer strategy, apart from Agate, has been quite good. But I think we spent quite well. You could argue we actually got, to put it this way, Sean. How much did Embuemo cost? How much did Cunha cost? And if you compare them to Gittins, and how much did Chelsea spend on Garnacho? Like they spent 60 on
Modric.
Gittins, 60 on Alanga, and I was just looking at it thinking we actually
Yeah.
got value. Like
We
Aiden
did.
Heaven
People,
costs,
yeah. People don't like to admit it, but we did. We get a really good value for our money compared to what like Verts cost. Isaac obviously got injured, but even before he got injured, he was not
yeah,
doing very, very well at all. Frimpong, even Kirkes has not looked great. I mean, I think for like you're saying, for the most part, Ineos have been good with their targets.
literally Lamans. Like Lamans is probably pound for pound one of the best signings Man United have made for a long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's been impeccable. Like there's, and he'll be here for another decade. Hopefully, I think he will be fantastic. A lot of your points on Carrick, like I hear you. I did that video yesterday. The case
Yeah.
for him to stay. I got the other one that'll come out tomorrow for everybody. Again, Legends members have it right now. That's the case against it because I do hear every argument and I try to make sure all of it is considered when we make these decisions. So you guys can go watch those videos and let me know what your thoughts are. We're going to close the poll now. 190 votes. So far, 58% of you are going with Tonali, 23% going with Anderson, 11% going with Bruno Guimaraes, and only 8% going with Baleba. So Tonali wins it for you guys. Everyone voted for Tonali. Would you be happy with Tonali, or do you still prefer Anderson to Tonali, Rich?
I think I'd be happy with Tonali.
Yeah.
I think the one good thing about our list is that there's not really a bad player on the list, and I think all the players are good. I think with Tonali, the only question mark I've got is how consistent will he be? Because I think I don't watch Newcastle week in week out, and we know that Man United so heavily scrutinised. It's just feedback from Newcastle fans that Bruno Guimaraes is the guy. That if we got him, they'd be crying about it. Whereas if we got Tonali, they'd just be happy they got some money and they buy another player. So I think Tonali is a very good player.
Yeah.
He's probably I quite like the fact he's got a few years' experience would be quite good because if we're losing that, so that would be a benefit. So I'd be quite happy. But again, I think it's one of these situations where if Man United sign three midfielders or and they're on the list of the short list, I think most fans would be generally okay with it once we got them in.
Yeah, I'd be happy with a lot of those players. Again, Anderson's my top priority. Tonali's probably a close second, but Baleba is
Yeah,
probably bottom of my
not a
list.
bad backup, is it? It's
You
like
know,
not the worst.
not
I
it's a
think I
good
said
place
the
to
same
be.
about do you remember when we were linked to Ekatike briefly and we're linked to
Yeah,
Gyökeres by people and Sesko? And I was just thinking they're all going to be an upgrade, and I would have been quite happy with either of them, to be honest.
yeah. I was a little on the fence with Ekitike. Obviously, he's proven me wrong. I'm never quick to go hard on someone who's had like one decent season. Even his season at Frankfurt before he joined Liverpool wasn't great. But
Yeah,
I'm
no,
happy.
that's
I
true.
really wanted Gyökeres just because I thought just he's proven. He's worked with Amorim. I've scouted him when he was at Coventry and he was doing bits at Coventry. I really like Gyökeres. I think Arsenal don't play a system that suits Gyökeres personally. I think under Amorim we would have played a little, but it is what it is. I'm very happy with Shesko either. It is what it is. But that's gonna wrap it up for us, you guys. I appreciate you guys stopping by, getting involved. I appreciate if you guys do hit that like button, subscribe on your way out, check those memberships, and as always, I appreciate Rich for joining us today and stopping by and just sharing a little bit about what's going on. Obviously, getting involved in some of the transfer talk and this Bournemouth preview, man. Rich, any final thoughts for anybody in the chat before we head out and let you guys go? You good?
Not really. I'm going to be working behind the scenes to see if I can resolve the issues with my channel, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a drawn out, painful process, a bit like watching
Yeah.
Man United last season. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking at the moment I might have to look at other platforms as a backup, but I don't know. It's not looking that
Yeah.
great to be honest. But I'll have to. Yeah, but I'll keep in touch with the community because I've got a lot of good contacts here and a lot of yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame I can't do my own streams, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I will be working behind the scenes to try and sort it out, and I'll keep in
Oh.
touch. But
Yeah,
thanks for the invite,
keep us.
Sean.
Oh, I appreciate, man. I mean, appreciate you stopping by and giving your time and keep us informed. Definitely stay in touch with us and keep us updated, and we will do what we can. Like I said, if there's anything that we can do as communities and as supporters of the channel, we will do what we can, man. But I hope and pray that it'll all work out. I think you've got a great channel. I haven't seen anything wrong, unless somebody is jumped on and has praised Dowlow for anything, and then that would be cause for demonetization personally. But it is what it is. But I am glad that you're able to stop by, man. It's good to connect with you. So you guys take it easy, enjoy the rest of your day, and whatever you guys get up to, have fun, stay safe. We will hopefully be talking about 3 points this weekend. Until then, you guys, talk to you later. Peace.